She sat alone on Valentine's Day, then this CEO's shocking proposal changed everything forever. On a cold, drizzly Valentine's Day, Claire sat alone at her usual cafe. The festive decorations, pink hearts, red roses made her feel even more isolated. Everyone around her was giggling, holding hands, sharing secret smiles. But she sat there, sipping her lukewarm coffee, feeling like a ghost among the laughter. Suddenly, the door swung open, and in walked Derek Thompson, the infamous CEO of Techplex. He was a giant in the business world, known not just for his success, but for his arrogance. His presence made the air crackle. The cafe fell silent. Eyes turned to him like flowers to the sun. Claire felt her heart race. Who could blame them? Derek was striking, commanding, with a confidence that filled the room. He scanned the place and, in a shocking twist, his gaze landed on her. Was she imagining that? The way his emerald eyes locked onto hers sent a shiver down her spine. This moment became surreal. Her mind raced. Was he really looking at her? Had his fierce reputation led him to her tiny table, overflowing with her forgotten hopes? Just when the chatter resumed, Derek took a bold step toward her. Everyone leaned in, breathless, as he said, "Can I join you?" Claire's stomach flipped. Whispers erupted around the cafe, shock mingled with intrigue. Then, without warning, Derek leaned down, a devilish smirk creeping across his face. "I need a partner today. You interested?" He pulled out a ring, glimmering and outrageous, right as she opened her mouth to answer. Gasps filled the air, and her heart raced faster than ever. Could he really be proposing here? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. His fingers brushed the cool metal, a declaration resting on the edge of disbelief. Questions swirled. Was this a joke? A twist for social media? Or was it genuine? Claire's heart thundered. She felt like she was on the edge of a cliff, staring into the unknown. The room buzzed with speculation. Every eye awaited her response, breaths held in collective anticipation. What would she say? And then, she looked deep into his eyes, and the weight of the moment pressed heavily on her chest. In that split second, she recognized the truth. Saying yes could change everything. But was she ready to leap? Claire held her breath, the ring hovering between them like a fragile promise. Derek's smirk widened, his confidence unsettling yet oddly inviting. She searched his eyes for clarity, but all she found was a whirlwind of emotions, a mix of challenge and sincerity. The cafe felt frozen in time, the world beyond their bubble blurred into muted colors. Are you serious?" She finally managed to stammer, her voice barely breaking through the stunned silence surrounding them. "Absolutely," he replied, his tone smooth, almost hypnotic. "I've never been one to be shy about what I want. And on a day like today, what better way to break the mold than with a bold proposal?" The crowd around them exploded with whispers, a cacophony of opinions, judgments, and wild speculation swirled in the air. Some looked impressed, others merely stunned. Claire's palms began to sweat, and her heart raced at the enormity of the situation. What was he doing? Did he think she would just say yes? "Look, I know this is sudden, but hear me out." Derek leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "I'm in a bit of a bind. My company is facing a major deal that requires me to look committed. And you? You could be the perfect cover. You get access to a lifestyle you can hardly imagine, an escape from your current reality. Just think about it. An escape." That word sent a heatwave of temptation through her. But along with it came the sharp sting of reality. "You think I'm just going to take a ring to make your life easier?" Claire's voice was steadier than she felt. That's not how this works. Is it not? He seemed genuinely curious. What's life without a bit of adventure? Just consider the advantages, Claire. Money, prestige, travel, a career you only dreamed of. You're smart, beautiful, and you don't deserve to sit unnoticed in a cafe on Valentine's Day, do you? His words sank in deeper than she expected. She felt the tantalizing pull of a life drastically different from the one she had. But at what cost? As she hesitated, the eyes around them bore into her. Could she really partner with someone like him? The tension in her chest tightened. Are you ready for this kind of adventure? He persisted. You'd be surprised where it might lead. The colors of the cafe burst into clarity as voices began to pick up again, like a distant radio tuning into a clear channel. There was anger mixed with shock, disbelief settling in even further. A lady at the back shook her head, muttering, "Some people have no boundaries." Yet, Derek remained unwavering, watching her intently, eyes hopeful yet challenging. Claire could feel the weight of their stares. The world held its breath, just like she was caught between risk and security, longing for something more. What if I say yes? She finally asked, her mind racing as she weighed his offer against her own desires. It hung in the air, a fragile thread tethering her decision. Derek leaned closer, sensing the shift, the excitement sparkling in his eyes. Then let's make some magic happen, he replied, his voice electric with promise. Before she could further contemplate, a crash echoed from the entrance. The cafe door flew open, and in strode a figure cloaked in darkness, a tempest of anxiety. It was a man Claire recognized all too well, and the look on his face sent a jolt through her system. "Claire!" he shouted, desperation lacing his voice. "We need to talk. Now." The cafe erupted into chaos again, and Claire's heart plummeted. She was faced with two worlds crashing together, one filled with glittering allure and the other laced with familiar desperation. Which would she choose? As the storm of emotions engulfed her, Claire could only stare wide-eyed, caught in the crossfire of decisions that could flip her life upside down. What did the man want? And could she step into a new life without fully understanding what she was leaving behind? Claire's pulse quickened as she turned her gaze to the man bursting through the cafe door. Seth. How could it be him, here of all places? His usually composed appearance was ripped apart by disarray, hair unkempt, tie askew, eyes wild with urgency. This was the same man who had sat across from her just a week before, promising everything would be fine. But now, there was panic rippling beneath the surface of his familiar demeanor. "Seth," she whispered, her heart torn between relief and dread. The air around her thickened with the weight of the moment. Derek's confident stance faltered, and he stepped back slightly, gauging the shift in her focus. The crowd murmured, eyes bouncing from one to the other, captivated by the unexpected dance of emotions. Would she throw away Derek's captivating offer for Seth's overshadowed plea? The question loomed over them like a storm cloud. "We need to get out of here," Seth insisted, urgency cracking his voice. He nodded towards the door, as if the world outside had morphed into a battlefield. Claire felt a pang of conflict. Thoughts ricocheted in her mind. Derek's tantalizing promise of adventure buzzed insistently against the stark reality of Seth's frantic need. What could possibly be so dire that he had to barge into her moment like this? "Claire, I swear, it's important," he pressed, urgency wrapped around every syllable. The crowd around them absorbed the spectacle, eyes wide, ears straining to catch every word. "What's so important that you barged in here?" Claire shot back, her voice steadier than she felt. "Can't this wait?" "No." Seth's voice cracked, and just like that, the cafe quieted. The anticipation hung like fog as they all awaited his explanation. I found something out, something that could change everything. We can't stay here. Someone's watching." Her stomach flipped at his words. The cafe felt suddenly claustrophobic, as if the walls were closing in, trapping the secrets of the moment. Derek moved closer again, as if tethered to her like gravity. "Or," he offered smoothly, eyes sparkling with that hypnotic charm, "you could stick around with me. The old world can wait." What's he offering? Muddled truths or a risk of chaos? Claire shot Derek a sharp glare. She had little patience for his casual dismissal of her reality. No. She snapped, blinking back the rising tide of frustration. You don't get to manipulate me. I deserve to know what's at stake. Seth's lips tightened, and he stepped forward, defiantly closing the distance. I'll explain everything, but we can't waste time. You have to trust me, Claire. That word, trust, sent a ripple of indecisiveness through her. She had trusted Seth once, folded herself into his plans as if that would lead to a rosy future. But this scenario felt different. Betrayal wrapped around her heart like a tight coil. Was it betrayal to turn to Derek for the adventure she desperately craved? The cafe seemed to hold its breath, the weight of every interaction pulling taut. Claire glanced back at Derek, whose expression shifted ever so slightly from interested to irritated. There was an undercurrent of possessiveness beneath his cocky exterior, and it unsettled her. Think, Claire, he urged, a desperate edge creeping into his smooth demeanor. Don't let panic dictate your choices. Just then, a shattering sound split through the tense atmosphere. The cafe window shattered, a single stone rolling to a stop near the door. Gasps echoed, eyes darting nervously as everyone turned to see the commotion. Claire's heart raced, instinctively fearing what was outside, what was coming next. She felt trapped, suspended between the chaos of the unknown and the allure of the life Derek dangled before her like a glittering carrot. Choose, Derek challenged, his voice low, but loading every word with pressure. With the cafe turning into chaos, she had mere seconds to decide: follow Seth into an ominous truth or step into Derek's world of potential and escape. What do I do? She asked, her thoughts spiraling in myriad directions, each possibility grimmer than the last. As she stood frozen, she caught a glimpse of the shadow that loomed just outside the shattered window. The moment changed, electricity crackled in the air, and she sensed her life pivoting at a dangerous angle. How far would she go to protect the life she already knew? And what truths lay hidden just beyond the threshold of the cafe's doors? The crowd erupted into chaos, screams cutting through the cafe's air as people scrambled for the exits. Claire's heart pounded in her chest, the panic in the room palpable. The once cozy atmosphere morphed into a fever dream of shattered glass and frantic shadows. What the hell was that? Derek's voice, now strained, tugged at her attention. His eyes darted towards the door, the charm replaced with something darker, a fear that set off alarm bells in her mind. Seth stepped closer, his expression frantic yet serious. We need to move. Now. The urgency of his tone slapped Claire back into reality. She couldn't afford to hesitate any longer. Would she stand frozen, a target in a cafe-turned-war zone, or leap into the unknown with Seth? Claire. Derek's panic sliced through her fog. You can't just go with him. We could shut up. She shot back, meeting his gaze with defiance. This was not the time for smooth talking or charm, this was life or death. And right now, she was only thinking of survival. Without looking back, Claire grasped Seth's arm, determination curdling her discomfort. They burst through the door, the world outside jarring in its sudden normalcy. She felt the rush of the fresh air, crisp against her terrified skin, yet the shadows loomed closer. Where do we go? She gasped, every instinct screaming for clarity. There's a car around the corner. I'll explain everything, but we can't stop, Seth urged, his voice a lifeline that pulled her feverish mind out of the chaos. As they ran, Claire's mind flickered between images of shattered glass and Derek's irritated expression. Had she just walked away from a chance at something incredible? The thought twisted her stomach in knots. But once outside, that guilt was snuffed out as Seth led her through the side streets, urgency painting the world in stark contrast. Why are they after you? She panted, stumbling slightly as they rushed down an alley, the shadows growing thicker with every step. I can't explain fully yet, he replied, glancing over his shoulder. But I got too close to something dangerous. They know I know, Claire. And now they might target you too. Chill prickled her skin at the implication. Target me? What did you find? The deal, he said, breathless yet focused. The business with Derek? It's not what it seems. He's tangled in a web of deception, and it's about more than just financial investment. It goes deeper. I was following leads, but his voice faltered, laden with the weight of unsaid fears. What? But what? Claire pressed. People are disappearing, Claire. People who get too close to this conglomerate he's part of. It's not just a business play, it's a deafening roar interrupted him, a sleek black SUV skidding to a halt at the alley entrance, tires screeching against the pavement. Windows tinted dark. Claire's heart dropped. Get down. Seth cried out, shoving her behind a dumpster. The metallic clang of the SUV's door echoed ominously in the stillness. Claire's heart raced, breath hitching as adrenaline flooded her system. With a quick glance, she caught fleeting figures emerging from the vehicle, shadows stretching like claws toward them. Panic surged in her veins. Run! Seth barked, pulling her up and propelling them deeper into the alley. They raced, feet pounding against the pavement, the loud thuds drowning out the chaotic noise behind them. Was Derek behind this? Were these men his hired muscle, or had he indeed been caught in a web of sinister plots? As they turned a corner, Claire thought of Derek's concern, the way he promised her a world of excitement. But excitement could morph into danger in the blink of an eye. What was he offering? Muddled truths or a risk of chaos? She whispered to herself, a question she knew wouldn't vanish easily. They spotted an empty street ahead, open, promising escape. Seth! This way! Claire shouted, pulling him along. But as they reached the sidewalk, the chill in the air deepened. She looked over her shoulder to see dark figures sprinting after them, urgency morphing into desperate determination. The balance of danger and hope hung precariously in the air, as Claire felt her resolve hardening. They must survive. They must uncover the truth, but then, out of the corner of her eye, a figure emerged from the shadows, lithe and menacing with a familiar silhouette. It took her a moment to recognize him, Derek. This was far from over. Claire, stop! He shouted, and the words twisted through the air like a sinister spell. What was he truly after? And could she trust Seth when their lives hung in the balance? Derek's voice sliced through the chilled air, each word a blade aimed directly at Claire's heart. She froze, the world around her blurring as a wave of conflicting emotions crashed over her. Was she really to stop now, with danger pounding at her heels? Claire, listen to me. Derek's voice rose, desperation mixing with authority. You think you know him, but he's not who you think he is. Derek, now is not the time. Seth shouted, shoving Claire backward just as a bullet ricocheted from the streetlight above, sending sparks raining down. Get down! She shrieked, the shock of the shot unearthing primal instincts. They hit the ground, the concrete rough against her skin, her mind racing as she glanced at Seth. We need to move. He hissed, eyes flitting between Claire and Derek, gauging the growing distance between life and death. We can't let him, but Derek's gaze remained locked on Claire, pleading. You have to trust me. I'm trying to keep you safe. The tension crackled. One wrong move could shift the balance from survival to annihilation. In the distance, more footsteps echoed, drawing closer with every heartbeat. What do you mean, safe? Claire shouted, her voice trembling. What is going on? The phone calls, the money. It's all a setup. I thought I was helping him, but I got too close to the truth. Derek's breath came out in ragged chunks, urgency apparent in his wild eyes. Seth is involved with something far worse than you know. Enough. Seth barked, dragging her further into the shadows behind the nearest car. Listen, Claire. He's lying. They're coming for us, and we need to suddenly. The alley erupted with harsh crackling sounds and bright flashes, a cacophony of chaos. Seth glanced up, fear pooling in his eyes as another round of bullets spattered against the pavement, forcing them to duck lower. Let me help you. Derek's voice cracked, now both a plea and a command. Seth has been playing both sides. Torn, Claire's heart raced as the realities of her situation clawed at her. Was Derek right? Had Seth been manipulating her all along? Or was he the only ally she had left? Tell me the truth, Seth. Claire's voice was raw, filled with desperation. Why should I trust you? Seth's eyes widened, the silent weight of her question nearly knocking him off balance. Because I didn't want you dragged into this. I thought I could protect you, but now protect me? Claire spat, her voice cracking. You dragged me into a nightmare. Everyone I trust is lying. An ear-splitting roar rang out as another vehicle zoomed into view, tires screeching. Claire's instincts screamed at her to run. She could feel the impending assault, the inevitability of being caught in the storms swirling around her. Get in. A heavy-set man stepped out of the SUV, barking orders at several armed men. In the split-second chaos, Claire turned towards Seth, a flicker of doubt coursing through her. With no time left to think, she bolted down the street, toward an uncertain future, leaving the fragmented conversation behind. Just as she sprang forward, she felt a hand seize her wrist. Wait. Derek yanked her back, irritation flashing across his face. You don't know what you're doing. But she did. She was fighting for her life, and in that moment, trust felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. Let me go. Claire screamed, wrenching herself free. But the seconds stretched ahead, filled with uncertainty. In that moment of turmoil, just as Claire and Seth broke into a fragment of hope, a piercing sound sliced through the air like a death knell. They turned just in time to see something dark emerging from the shadows behind them, someone carrying a gun, aimed directly toward them. It's not over yet, Derek cautioned, his face pale but resolved, but as the unseen figure stepped forward, Claire realized this was just another player. It was someone who knew them both. Claire, the voice echoed, chilling her to the bone. You don't have to run anymore. A new chill cascaded down her spine. Who was this? And could she truly escape the web of danger surrounding her? The world around her felt like it was crumbling, the weight of every decision pressing down and threatening to consume her whole. Whatever was on the precipice of revealing itself would change everything again. Claire's heart thundered as the figure stepped into the weak light, illuminating a face twisted in a mixture of familiarity and menace. It was Leah, her best friend since childhood, but something in her eyes had shifted. Gone was the warm embrace of loyalty, replaced with a cold calculation that sent a shiver down Claire's spine. Claire, Leah repeated, voice dripping with an unsettling calm. You don't have to run anymore. You can trust me. Trust her? The word burned in Claire's throat. Was this the same Leah who had laughed with her over coffee? Who had shared secrets and dreams? Everything felt twisted, unreal. What are you doing here? Claire stammered, glancing at Derek and Seth, both frozen in shock. We can put an end to this, Leah offered, taking a step closer. The steel glint of the gun reflected the dim light, and Claire's pulse quickened. I know what's really going on, Claire. I can help you see the truth. You've been lied to. Lied to? Seth barked, anger sparking in his eyes. You're part of this too. Leah shrugged, a flicker of something dark crossing her expression. You don't even understand what we're fighting against. It's bigger than you, than me, than any of us. We're running out of time. Derek reached for Claire, his voice urgent. Get away from her, Leah. Whatever you think you can offer, it's just manipulation. Don't fall for it. Manipulation? Leah laughed, the sound ringing hollow. Oh, Derek, you have no idea. I've seen things worse than you could comprehend. You're blind to the real player at this table. Every word felt like a slap in the face to Claire as the weight of the world pressed down on her shoulders. Betrayal burned through her veins. What do you mean, the real player? Leah's gaze sharpened, and she tilted her head, almost as if sizing her up. This isn't just about you or Seth. You're both just pawns in a game that's been going on for longer than you know. The money, the calls, it's all to cover up something more sinister. They're watching us right now. Seth's eyes darted around, his breaths becoming shallow. Who? Who is watching? But Leah simply smiled, a smile that felt both inviting and dangerous. Someone who knows everything. Someone who's waiting for the right moment to pounce. The pounding of Claire's heart drowned out her thoughts. She was deep in this mess now, with no clear path to safety. She had to choose, but the choice felt like shards of glass wrapped in barbed wire. How could she trust either of them? Derek's desperation fought against Leah's cunning allure. Suddenly, a chorus of tires screeching and shouts tore through the night as more figures spilled from the SUV, guns raised and ready. Chaos erupted again, and all three instinctively moved. Run! Seth yelled, grabbing Claire's hand, pulling her along. Claire's mind raced, adrenaline surging, struggling to process everything from behind them as Leah didn't move, staring them down with a look that felt loaded with unspoken threats. Remember, Claire. Leah's voice trailed after them like a lingering shadow. You're closer to the truth than you realize. With fear snapping at her heels and newfound urgency propelling her legs, Claire pressed forward. The sound of footsteps behind her was a relentless predator, hungry for its prey. She couldn't look back, couldn't lose this chance at freedom, no matter the price. That a nearby alley opened up, beckoning her with darkness, a chance to escape the turmoil. But what awaited inside? Was this another trap, or a fleeting moment of safety? As she plunged into it, the world she knew began to slip away, falling into tangled webs of danger and deceit. Just as she rounded the corner, an explosion of light erupted behind her, forcing her to shield her eyes. In that blinding moment, clarity struck. She had to know. Who was truly playing this game? With chaos enveloping her, Claire faced an unsettling truth. The deeper she went, the more she realized that her most dangerous enemies might be the very people she once thought she could trust. The next choice she made could change everything, but what if she was too deep into the darkness to find her way back? Claire stumbled into the alley, the darkness swallowing her whole. The air was thick and stale, a pungent mix of trash and desperation. It felt like the end of the world outside, but here, in this narrow escape, time felt suspended. She leaned against the damp wall, her chest heaving, trying to calm the raging storm inside her. Are you okay? Seth's whisper cut through the silence, his face barely illuminated by the weak light spilling from the street. I don't know, Claire panted, her mind racing. Leah, what did she mean? Seth ran his fingers through his hair, frustration etched across his features. I don't care what she said. We need to focus on getting out of here. She's dangerous, Claire. I can't just ignore it, she replied, her voice trembling. What if there's truth to what she said? Who's watching us? What game is being played? The shadows seemed to shift, whispering secrets just beyond her grasp. A cold chill raced down her spine. Enough. Derek's voice sliced through the thick tension as he emerged from the mouth of the alley, his expression wrought with worry. They could be right behind us. We need to keep moving. The urgency in his voice rattled her. They were running from something she couldn't see, something impossible to fight without knowing what they were up against. Which way? Seth asked, scanning the alley, looking for any signs of life. He grasped Claire's hand tighter, as if willing her to share something, anything that would ease the pit in his stomach. Claire's instincts kicked in. We need to find a way back to my apartment. It's closer to safety. We can figure this out later. As they turned to head deeper into the alley, a loud crash echoed behind them, sending icy fingers of dread racing through Claire's chest. Her heart thumped wildly as she glanced over her shoulder. Shadows darted where they had walked moments before. Someone was after them. Run! She shouted without thinking, adrenaline coursing through her body. She squeezed Seth's hand as they bolted further into the alley, the noise of pursuit growing louder behind them. They burst onto a street, the icy wind stinging their faces. Lights flickered in nearby storefronts, reflecting in their panicked eyes as they sprinted forward. Go left. Derek commanded, nodding toward a side street. Claire followed without question, barreling down the unfamiliar path. She could hear her pursuers gaining ground, the swish of fabric and heavy footsteps echoing ominously. Why did Leah change so suddenly? She gasped, trying to catch her breath. I can't comprehend what she is saying. It doesn't make sense. Seth shot her a glance, conviction hardening his features. We'll figure it out, Claire. Right now, we need to survive. They ducked into a small cafe, the warm air hitting them like a hug as they slid behind the counter, breathless. Nostalgic smells of coffee and baked goods filled her senses, but there was no time to enjoy it. Claire felt her heart pounding in her throat. Did they see us? Derek whispered, peering through the window, his eyes alert. Seth's hands trembled as he wiped sweat from his brow. What if Leah was telling the truth? He said, the doubt creeping into his voice. What if we are part of something bigger? Something we can't understand? Claire swallowed hard. The weight of their situation pressed heavily on her. Was it possible Leah was working to uncover something monumental? Was it worth trusting her now, after all this? But just then, a loud bang made them all jump. A figure, silhouetted against the cafe's glass door, appeared, holding a strange device that sent flickering lights across the walls. The bottom was dropping out of Claire's world. Who was this new threat? Was help or betrayal standing on the other side of that door? Stay quiet. Derek hissed, his voice barely above a whisper as the figure began to move closer. Was Leah right about everything? Had they tangled themselves in a web that they couldn't escape? The last flicker of hope began to dim as Claire realized the truth. They might be closer to the edge of a cliff than they ever realized. What did they truly know about the battles being fought in the shadows? In that critical moment, everything would hinge on their next move. Would they embrace the darkness or flee from it? The tension thickened as the door handle turned. The door swung open slowly, creaking on its hinges, and the figure stepped inside. Claire's heart pounded in her chest, each thump echoing like a warning bell. The dim cafe lights caught the outline of the newcomer, and she could see the glint of metal in their hands. What was it? A weapon or something else? A stark, nervous silence filled the air. Derek's grip on Claire tightened as if he could shield her from the unknown. Who are you? He demanded, though his voice faltered slightly, betraying the fear that gripped them all. The figure paused just inside the doorway, their face obscured by a hood, shadowed and ominous. Yet in the flickering light, Claire caught a flash of their eyes, intense and determined. It sent a chill crawling down her spine. Not your enemy, the figure replied, their voice low and smooth, but edged with urgency. But we're running out of time. What do you mean? Seth asked, stepping slightly ahead of Claire, instinctively protecting her. They're coming, the stranger stated, glancing back at the door as if expecting it to burst open at any moment. If you want to survive, you have to trust me. Claire felt her pulse quicken. Trust was in short supply here, but the looming threat from outside pressed hard against her reason. She sensed the urgency in the air, the weight of something looming they couldn't quite grasp, gnawing at them like hunger. What do you know about Leah? Claire blurted out, unable to hold back the question clawing at her throat. She mentioned something big. Are we part of that? What's happening? The figure stepped forward, shedding a bit of the shadow that clung to them. Leah is a player in a game much larger than you realize. She is trying to expose a secret, and you three are right in the middle of it. Claire exchanged glances with Seth and Derek, processing the impact of those words. What secret? She asked breathlessly. An organization. They're using people as pawns for their agenda, the figure continued, voice steady, swallowing the room in gravity. You don't just run from this. It's reaching out, and it won't stop. Then how do we stop it? Derek demanded, the edge in his voice growing sharper. The figure stepped closer, lowering their voice. You have to come with me. I can protect you, but once you're in, there's no going back. You'll be part of something that ends tonight or could change everything forever. A loud crash shattered the moment, jarring them all. The door rattled violently as something heavy slammed against it from the outside, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. Now! The figure shouted, lunging toward the back door of the cafe. You either stay here and face them, or you follow me blindly into the night. Your choice. Claire's heart screamed as panic surged through her veins. She glanced at Seth and Derek, their expressions mirroring her turmoil. The weight of the decision felt unbearable. Stay and confront the unknown, or leap into uncertainty with a stranger who might be saving them or leading them into danger. But in that breathless moment, she sensed the darkness closing in, and the thrill of adrenaline kicked her instincts into high gear. She didn't know who to trust or what lay ahead, but she felt an undeniable pull toward the promise of answers. Let us go. Claire shouted, making the decision for them. As a team, they rushed after the mysterious figure, hearts pounding, desperate to escape the chaos threatening to engulf them. Behind, the cafe doors splintered, and a rush of cold air, tainted with a sense of predatory intent, flooded in. What had they just committed to? And what awaited them in the emptiness outside? Claire could only feel the weight of dread nestling in her stomach, spiraling deeper with each step they took into the unknown. But as they spilled into the night, the inevitable question loomed: could they outrun the shadows, or would the darkness claim them all? The alleyway engulfed them in darkness, a stark contrast to the chaotic scene they'd just fled. Claire's breaths came fast and shallow, panic clawing at her chest. She could still hear the splintering wood of the cafe door in her mind, the volatility of the situation vibrating in her bones. Behind her, she could feel Derek's eyes, darting, assessing, trying to piece everything together. Where are we going? Seth asked, his voice barely above a whisper, urgency coloring his tone. The cloaked figure led them confidently, not breaking stride as they navigated through the labyrinth of side streets. Claire caught glimpses of the figure's hands, stark against the fabric of the robe, definitely not holding a weapon, but something else entirely, shimmering darkly. What is your name? Claire finally ventured, attempting to anchor herself in the chaos. Call me Alex. That's all you need to know for now, they answered, glancing back over a shoulder. Their eyes were sharp, assessing, like a hawk weighing the worth of its prey. Is Leah safe? Claire pressed, the question spilling out before she could stop it. The mention of the name hung in the air, heavy and fraught with the weight of uncertainty. Leah is dealing with bigger dangers. She's running out of allies, and when the time comes, you'll understand just how deeply you're intertwined in this, Alex replied, each word dripping with pressure. Derek stopped abruptly, forcing the rest of them to halt. What do you mean we're intertwined? None of this makes sense. His voice rose, laced with frustration. All we know is that we're in way over our heads. Alex turned, eyes ice cold. What you don't understand is that the truth has a way of affecting everything around it. You aren't just bystanders in this mess, you're the key. Claire exchanged a glance with Seth. Their collective anxiety morphed into a sense of determination. So what do we do next? She asked, trying to regain some control. Trust me and keep moving, Alex urged, urgency creeping back into their demeanor. They follow the noise. And they are not people you want to encounter. A rustle came from the end of the alley, flashlights bobbing in the distance. Shadows danced menacingly, and Claire's stomach dropped. Go. Alex commanded, pulling them deeper into the network of alleys. They darted through spaces that felt too confining, walls closing in, making the air pulse with adrenaline. As they rounded a corner, Claire stumbled, falling onto the cold, damp pavement. Derek rushed to help her up, his hands firm and reassuring. We gotta keep going. Right now. The figure in front of them was already pushing against the door to a nearby building, glancing back to ensure they were following. When Claire caught her breath enough to hurry after them, they were inside a narrow corridor, the stench of dampness hanging heavily. Alex turned, keeping their voice low. This is a safe spot, but not for long. We're only buying time. They'll be looking for you, especially after what happened at the cafe. What happens now? Claire asked, trying to remain calm, though her heart raced. This is where it begins, Alex declared, the tension in their voice unmistakable. You have to decide how far you're willing to go to uncover the truth and protect yourselves. It hit Claire in a visceral way how deep down the rabbit hole she was willing to tumble. Her instincts screamed danger, yet the thrill of knowing she was part of something larger ignited a spark within her. Before she could respond, a loud crash echoed from somewhere in the building, the sound of footsteps pounding on stairs. "Get inside!" Alex shouted, shoving open a door at the end of the corridor. The four of them rushed in, heartbeats pounding a frantic rhythm. The door was slammed shut, the noise indicative of imminent disruption. Claire's breath hitched, fear igniting in her gut. What lay ahead was still shrouded in mystery, but whatever it was, they were in it together. And it would either uncover layers of betrayal or push them closer to the very shadows they feared. As adrenaline coursed through her veins, a question hung in the air: would the choices they made shatter their lives, or ultimately save them? The room they entered was dim, with only a single flickering bulb overhead casting shadows on the walls. It smelled of damp wood and something metallic. Claire's heart raced as she leaned against the wall, desperately trying to catch her breath. Seth and Derek flanked her, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. "What's the plan?" Derek's tone was sharp, urgency lacing every word. Alex straightened, hands on their hips, surveying the room. "We have to secure this spot and gather information. What you've stumbled into is bigger than you know, and if you're going to survive, you need to understand what's happening." Claire's mind whirled. "Like what? Can you just tell us what to expect?" Alex looked at her, intensity flowing from their gaze. "The organization chasing you has been operating in the shadows for a long time. They deal in manipulation and information and power. They can build you up, but they can destroy you just the same." "Destroy us? For what?" Seth's eyebrows furrowed in disbelief. "For being in the wrong place at the wrong time. For being too close to the truth." Alex paused, letting the weight of their words settle. Leah was right, you're involved in something that could unravel everything. Tension hung thick in the air as each of them processed that. "So what do we do?" Claire asked again, her voice now steadier. "We need to find out what Leah knows," Alex replied, their demeanor transforming into a focused leader. "She's our best chance. She might still be able to tie the pieces together. But first, we need to lay low and gather intel." Suddenly, a series of loud banging noises pounded against the door, enough to make Claire's heart leap into her throat. "They're here." Derek's eyes widened, and Claire could see panic threatening to grip him. "Quiet," Alex hissed, moving to block the door. "No sudden moves. We'll listen." The pounding continued, vibrating through the walls. Claire felt each thud like a drum against her chest. She peered through a small, cracked window in the door, but all she could see was the dark, murky hallway leading to unknown dangers. "Are you sure we're safe here?" Seth whispered. "There's no perfect safety," Alex murmured, eyes darting as if sensing sounds beyond even the pounding at the door. "But we're better off here than out there. Just hold on." A loud crash reverberated through the building. Claire's chest tightened, and she felt Derek reach for her hand, gripping it tightly. "Stay close," he murmured. "Shoo!" Alex hissed again, positioning themselves near the wall, listening intently. The air grew heavier, thick with anticipation and fear. Seconds ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. And then, silence. "What's happening?" Claire's voice trembled slightly. "I don't know. But whatever it is, now is our chance. Let us move." But before Alex could finish, the door burst open, splintering off its hinges. Dark figures rushed in sharp silhouettes against the dim light, eyes filled with menace. "Get down!" Derek shouted, and they all scrambled. Chaos erupted as the figures rushed in, shouting orders, threatening noises cutting through the storm of panic. Claire ducked behind Alex, who moved quickly, pulling her and Seth out of the line of fire. They scurried into a side room, heartbeats pounding like drums, adrenaline flooding their veins. "What do we do now?" Claire gasped as they pressed against the far wall, breathless and wide-eyed. "Stay quiet. I'll distract them," Alex said, voice steady but low. "Are you crazy?" Claire's heart raced faster. "We can't just leave you." "It's the only way," Alex insisted, their eyes shining with determination. "Remember, trust is key. You have to get to Leah. Don't stop until you find her. Before anyone could argue, Alex rushed out, creating a diversion that drew the attackers away. Claire could barely breathe, panic threatening to suffocate her. We need to move. Derek whispered urgently, taking charge. I'll go first. Follow my lead, and trust me. With a final glance back, Claire followed suit. They darted down narrow hallways, dodging shadows and the occasional call from behind them, voices growing distant but still present in the air. Finally, they found themselves outside in the night, the cool air hitting their flushed faces like a splash of ice water. We can't stop, Seth urged, scanning the area, backing away from the light. Where to? Claire whispered, her voice beating beneath the surface of turmoil swirling inside. Leah's place. Derek said, pointing toward the darkened streets ahead, and that was all it took. They sprinted forward, darting through the silent streets, heartbeats harmonizing with their footfalls. Every corner felt like a leap into uncertainty, but they pressed on, knowing each step drew them closer to answers or deeper into danger. With each breath, Claire reminded herself they had to find Leah. The truth awaited. And somewhere in the night, her old life slipped away, carving a new path into the unknown. If you've made it this far, you need to subscribe to the channel right now. Don't wait even one more second. You don't want to miss the exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and help us out. And flood the comments section with your thoughts about how Claire's journey ends and what you think will happen next. Don't hold back, you know we love hearing from each and every one of you. Finally, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this explosive conclusion. Let's spread the thrill.